Could you share the document?
I will post the link in the thing again, since you do that thing where it doesn't show you it afterwards. There you go. So we are doing the second half of building a city with the idea that we're going to build it such that people can run possibly games in it for VirtuaCon. At the very least, all of you are building a city that I'm going to run some games in for VirtuaCon. Other people may. We will see if that, in fact, comes to pass. Now, this is the second session of this. This is sort of the second half. There is another video available for that. So we're building on some things that the previous set of 5 people, including myself at that point, created. So we're using a modified version of Microscope, and I'm going to kind of walk through the process. You probably have looked at it, all 4 of you, and you're pretty aware of what's going on. But I think I want to have each of you just briefly say who you are for people who are listening at home, and I'm going to go sort of left to right on my thing. So Steve, do you want to say something about yourself?
Sure, I'm Steve Donahue, and I've played Microscope twice, so I may need some advice.
Okay, awesome. Sherry?
My name is Sherry Stewart, and I've played Microscope a lot, and I look forward to playing it a lot more.
Okay. And Rich?
Hey, I'm Rich. I read Microscope back when I did the podcast, The Voices of Revolution for Indie Press Revolution, and I don't think I've actually played it. I have played Kingdom.
Okay.
But yeah, so I read through Microscope many years ago. Yeah.
Okay. And Kyle?
Yep, I'm Kyle, and this is my first ever game with Microscope.
Okay. Excellent. And I'm glad to you have you had a chance to look at it, or what do you know about Microscope?
Just the very minimum, I suppose. Of I'm not really sure exactly how it all breaks down. So.
Okay. Awesome. Then I'm going to go through the basic procedures so we're all on the same page about how this is going to function today. Normally, when you're starting out with Microscope, or in this case the city building, there's a period where they kind of collaboratively talk about the theme, and that theme has been established by the other group. It's a layered city. There are multiple layers of this city. It's in the desert. Sometimes layers from underneath rise up and crack through the top. And there's the idea that sandstorms come from time to time, and they're the things that wash away the city. So we established that as the theme. We then talked about the palette, which are things that either might not usually be in the setting that they wanted to see, or things that would be common that they didn't want to see. And so we made sure in the ad on the palette that vertical transportation is vital, so a lot of things go up and down rather than around. There's a lot of verticality to the city. The idea that over time, multiple races have mixed and intermixed, so there isn't so much half-elves as there are people that have a little bit of elven blood, or people that have a little bit of human blood, and that's really just dispersed over time. The next thing is that necromancy is not necessarily evil. That was established. That there's a daily struggle for water, that's a key issue of facing the city. And that there's ancestor worship, and that's kind of important. And then we banned weather magics. We banned Arabian Nights tropes. We don't want to fall necessarily into those schemes. We banned gonzo, over-the-top craziness, which, as I was saying before the video started, is a little subjective, but we'll kind of talk about how that process works, how we'll key in on that. And also no dragons. Now, one of the interesting things about the ban list is, particularly with the weather magics and the dragons, is they aren't there, but we don't know what that means yet. We don't know why there's no weather magic. We don't know why there's no dragons. Did they never exist, or did something happen? Those are interesting open questions that are out there. So typically what would happen is in the playthrough of Microscope, we would take turns, and we would work on the grouping. We would either add, in the case of Microscope, a period, a span of time, and then below that an event underneath that time, or below that a sort of a question about that event. In the case of this game, it's neighborhoods, and then under a neighborhood there can be either a person or a place, a location, or an event like a festival or something that's associated with that neighborhood. And then below that, below those things, below the persons, below the locations, below the events, you can add in a history, a historical fact, or a rumor, something that people, know about that. Now, one of the important things about Microscope is that before we kind of get to adding those things, we have a collaborative discussion. But once we get to taking turns, then people will add their thing to the map, add their thing to the list, but we have to, as other players, not kibitz. In fact, even if they want help, we can't really help them. We have to let them put their thing on. The only interaction that we do with that is afterwards we can ask for clarifications, or we can ask if something maybe contradicts something that's been previously established, and then that can be negotiated. But one of the goals for that is, in my experience face-to-face, it makes sure that everybody feels like they can participate. There isn't a kind of a dominating of the conversation that goes on there. It's easier to manage that online. When you're face-to-face at the table, people are freaking out because they thought of something amazing and they want to say it. If you do Microscope face-to-face, make sure that you have food out there so people can stuff their faces to quash the kibitzing there. That actually works. Let me say that there's a lot of stuff already in the timeline, and other people will add things to that. When somebody puts something on there, anybody can play with it. So if somebody establishes a character in a piece of history, then you can bring that person back. You can put a change in the complexion on someone. For example, in the timeline, I established a character, and then somebody else added something that certainly made the character seem a lot darker than I had imagined. That's cool. Play with other people's stuff, change things around that way. Each turn, someone will act as the lens. There's a starting player. They essentially get a double turn at the start and a double turn at the end. And the other thing that they do is they will establish the theme. So last time when we played, we had a turn that was all about transport. We had a turn that was all about government. We had a turn that was all about, the gods. So there will be a theme that the starting player will establish for the turn, and whatever you create when it comes around to you on that turn, you want to try and connect it to that, even tangentially, even at a distance. At the end of each of these turns, we'll shift who the starting player is, but before that, one of the persons, essentially the person who is seated to the right of the starting player, will get to add a faction to the map, essentially to the discussion of the city. And if you looked at those factions, you saw there were things like thieves guilds and merchant groups and all of those kinds of things. All of this is to keep in mind we're trying to build a city that GMs could delve into and play with. The last thing I want to bring up is that we are going to be using something called the X card, which you may or may not be familiar with. It's a convention tool that has come and been developed by John Stavropoulos. I think I'm saying that right, and then some other people. The idea is that if something appears on the timeline, a topic or a comment that you're uncomfortable with, you can just signal in the chat, just say X card, and we'll stop and we'll rewind or we'll move past that. It might be subjects that people are really uncomfortable with. It happens every once in a while from time to time. My example for this that I've given a couple of times is that about the third week of the players fighting giant spiders in my game, I had one of my players, a big guy, who I play with for years, come up and say, "Lol, if you don't stop with the spiders, I can't play anymore." Turned out he actually had a really severe phobia about it, something I was completely unaware of, had no sense of it, and until then he hadn't felt comfortable saying something about that. So, that's a minor example of kind of concrete phobic thing, but there might be things that you're worried about. So just, you can do that in the chat, and we'll try and move past that. I'll try to adjudicate on that. Let me see now. Are there any questions before I kind of talk about some of the issues that were left open from the previous groups? Thanks.
Before we move forward, Louis, just a little point of order, not game related. If you're not talking, it might be a good idea just to keep the audio clean, to mute your microphone. You can do that with at the top of the Hangout. There's a little picture of a microphone. You can click on that, and that way that way the camera's not bouncing around to people who aren't talking. And there's a little bit of a low grade hum coming from you, Steve. So
okay.
Cool.
Thank you. Really good point. I always forget that. Rich is experienced with these issues, so that was awesome. Other questions or comments before we get started?
Is the general assumption that this is a fantasy city with magic? Because with Microscope, I know you can move up and down the timeline, so I'm curious about
So
that.
we are getting a slice of time. This is where the city stands at the present. We know that it's a fantasy setting. We kind of know that there's magic. That's been established so far. But there are some interesting open questions. And I'm going to kind of walk through a few of those for you to think about when you're adding on to this. I do want to mention a sort of mechanical thing. You'll see that I've made some adjustments to the layout and the text there. When you want to add something, I've left in some copy-paste text at the bottom of each of the neighborhoods. And there's also, after the page break, at the very end, after the factions, there's some copy and paste stuff there if you want to, have essentially keep the same text formatting and so on. It's also a scratch pad if you want to be typing something up while other people are going, that kind of thing. The final thing is, if you go way down to the bottom, there's a massive table of names and places and things. If you get stuck, feel free to grab those, remix them, change them around, muck about if you get in a hard place. Some people are really good at names, other people not so much. But those are all open for you guys.
It does not look like the link that you provided gives me edit access.
Oh, let me make sure. Let's see, can view. Let me give that edit access. I'm going to recopy the link.
Cool.
And I'm going to re-put it in there. So I'm not sure if that changes it up. Hopefully that link I just sent should give you guys, give all of you edit access now.
Looks like it.
Looks
Thank
like
you.
it. Awesome. Thank you for catching that. So here are a few things that struck me, and all of you may have already realized this when you were reading through here, that there are several really interesting issues that haven't been addressed, and certainly they can get left open for a GM who comes in, or people can add things in that reference this. For example, we don't know what the nature of magic is. There's some mention of it in a couple of places, but we know that there are necromancers, but we don't know what magic means. We don't know if it's a highly trained thing. We don't know if it's a natural thing. We have no idea about that. That's a cool space that's open. We don't know all that much about the gods. We've seen that there's some dead gods. We've seen that there's some little gods. We've seen some ancestor worship, but what's going on with the general populace? As I mentioned before, we don't know why there aren't any dragons. We don't know what kind of trade or economy really supports this city. We know that it's a desert city, but what exactly does that mean? We don't know about the kind of racial components, if there's any tension with that, or if that's something that's not dealt with. We don't know how long it has been since the previous incarnation of the city. We know that the last city got washed over. We established what the name of that was. Being the unnamed usurper, I believe, is there some version of that. But we don't know how long ago that was. We don't know what the tech level is. Are there airships? Are there guns? We don't know anything about that. Is there some primitive steampunk things? Those are all things that have not been established. And lastly, we don't have a name. There is no name for the city yet, which will eventually become a problem. So we've just been referring to it as the city. So those are all really cool, interesting things to consider that you may want to leave open, or you may want to deal with and muck about with here. Anything else? Anybody else notice that it seems to you is interesting or open that is worth mentioning? You're all thinking about your entries. That's fine. That's all well and good.
There's nothing outside the city, right?
Yeah, actually, that's a good.
Very little.
Yeah.
Like, where is the city? Who are their enemies? Who are their friends?
Yeah.
Not just who do they. You talked about trade, but who do you trade with?
Yeah. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to add, before we get started, I'm going to add 2 new neighborhoods here. I kind of been thinking about this, but that's a great point. I'm going to add one that we're just going to call, I'm going to cut and paste there, and I'm going to write text. We're going to call that essentially that there's a nearby region. And we're going to call the last one the world beyond. So if you want to establish some facts about those things, we'll treat them like a neighborhood. Does that seem like a good idea? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Copy this. All right. Do that and get the model text in there. Okay. So, the turn order is going to be Steve, Sherry, Rich, Kyle, and then myself. So, Steve, you're going to start us off, and you're going to be the lens for this round, which means that you're going to establish what the focus is, what the theme is for this round. And then the other thing that's going to happen is that let me get a page break in here, is that you get to do 2 things on your turn. You can do a new neighborhood and a person, place, or location event beneath it, or you could do a location and then a rumor or history about it. You don't have to do 2 things, but you have the right to. You're going to start us off for this turn, and you're going to end us for this turn. We'll also get a double shot. Sound good? You are muted, though. So, Steve, what do you want as the theme?
I think I want to talk about traders.
Okay. DERS?
DERS.
Okay. Okay, and I'm going to have that problem where I keep turning caps lock on. Okay, so turn 1 is traders. And we'll let you and here's the thing is, Steve will be typing it in. I'll ask that you kind of type in your entry and then maybe give us a little verbal summary, maybe add to it out loud about what you're thinking. Okay?
Okay. Scrolling back and forth, I'm thinking we have the fire gate, which includes that there's a storm gate, but we don't really have that neighborhood, right?
Mm-hmm.
The storm gate neighborhood.
Correct. We don't have that established as a distinct neighborhood. So that would be awesome.
So why don't we do that? Okay. Do I need to go to the bottom, or can I go?
You can put it in anywhere you want.
Do I need to go to the bottom, or can I stay in the same general place?
You can stay in the same general place.
Oh, that did not go well at all.
Sorry, you can stay in the same general place.
I think I did something bad there.
Let me cut and paste, and I'll drop you in some.
I started to do that. I think I hit the wrong key.
Okay,
So.
sure.
So we'll call this the Storm Gate, right?
And one last thing before I mute myself again, there is nothing like the delight of typing things up while other people are watching you type.
I was thinking it's fun to have 5 people stare at your
Yes.
keyboard, right? All I need now is the pointy-haired boss to tell me, no, mouse over there. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know what I want to say about the Storm Gate. What did we say about the Fire Gate? Not much, right? Okay, so I just need to get in the initial text about the Storm Gate, right?
Yeah, I'm right in the middle of what's going on?
Okay, so the Storm Gate is
Okay.
the public face of the city, and so it's well lit and well patrolled. It's open 24 hours a day, if days are actually 24 hours, I guess.
Well,
And it never closes because some people arrive at the night and some arrive in the day.
Just follow my cut back and then call Lori, okay, to get you directions, okay? Okay, sorry, we're right in the middle of something here, okay? So, no, I just, if you have a problem, give us a call back, okay? All right, bye.
All right. Lowell's on the phone right now.
Sorry,
So,
my niece is, got lost walking around our neighborhood.
Does she have a smartphone that she could have used for GPS?
No, like me, she has the dumbest phone humanly possible.
But she knew your number, so that makes it a smart.
Yeah, it is reasonably smart. All right, now, Steve, if you wanted to, you could put a location under that, or you could pass it on.
Let's put a location. I'm gonna go cheat and look at your names. All right, do you want me to, if I steal one, should I exit off?
We're good. Yeah, don't worry about that. We'll know.
Okay. Okay.
Awesome.
So the bazaar is an open area with many tents where you can buy most anything. And if you know the right people, you can even buy things that can't normally be bought.
Awesome. Sherry.
Sherry, you're muted.
Okay. So I'm going to go with a location inside of the Stormgate. It's the Little Block. It's essentially a bureaucratic outpost of the Petitioner's Block, where the main trade is buying places in line on the Petitioner's Block. Also handle the rubber stamping of official trade and warehouse manifests. And let's see here. And then, Lowell, as a point of thing, can I immediately put a rumor under that, or is that for someone else to do?
The person who is the lens gets to immediately do that.
Okay.
Standard turns is just one thing.
Okay. Sounds good.
Great. So then, Rich.
Okay, so then I create a place within the Stormgate neighborhood or wherever?
Anywhere you want. The only thing is that you should think about how it relates to trade. It should be related to that.
I think I'm going to stick this in Makerstown. It's technically known as Ishe for Cause Emporium, but commonly known as the Meat Market, because it is a place where the undead are used for day labor. And the necromancers that work here have special dispensation from Sin Silver the Undying. Let's see. Smells atrocious.
Awesome.
And,
I am going to have you change that text to black so that we see what we've put on in this round and keep it different from the earlier round, if that's cool. Awesome. Kyle. You might be muted.
I was. Okay. I think I want to add a place maybe just outside the storm gate, where people that are merchants that are coming to do maybe stuff that they want to keep secret, more legal stuff that maybe they want to keep off the books. Is that possible to be outside, a little bit outside of the city proper here?
Yeah, I think on a fire gate somebody wrote something in that was just outside the fire gate and kind of attached it to that location. That seems reasonable.
Okay. So let's call this the raised ridge. And it's kind of like a set of maybe like some large dunes that are right outside of the city gate of the storm gate, where there's kind of just a thrown together sort of market type thing. But I'm not sure where to put that. Should I still put that in the storm gate here? Under Stormgate?
So I'll answer your question since it's the first round. I'll say you could either put it in the Stormgate or you could put it in nearby region. It's up to you.
Okay, we'll go with Stormgate. How's that looking?
Looks good.
Okay. Oh.
Oh, man. All right, I think that's to me. So I'm going to go up to the Marble Dome. All right, so that's mine. The Zazul auctions, heavily guarded. Essentially, it's an auction house up there in the marble dome. It's where Zazul is bought, sold, bet on, and speculated for. And Zazul is essentially one of the two things you need to manufacture mana to power magic. It's a rare commodity that the city produces. It's dangerous to harvest, and to kind of tie back to what Rich put on there, the undead are often used to harvest it, but that's a dangerous thing because, of course, you don't want to get too much magical energy in the undead who are wandering around down there. All right, so we go full circle, and Steve, we come back to you, and you get to do another one or two things around your theme. And you may be muted, Steve.
So I'm going to create a region called Kabaj Tar. And in Kabaj Tar, the inhabitants practice name magic. And for some reason, in the city, no one likes name magic, and so there is no trade with Kabaj. And then I can still add another item, right?
You can add a rumor or a history related to that below it.
Okay. Whoops.
Here, I'll probably format. You got, let's see,
Um, oh boy, what's the right word for this? So there was
Nice.
and I don't think I have the right word for it, but maybe this. I don't know if that's right either, but the people of Kabash Tar use their magic to take control of the leaders of the city, and so no one uses their real name. That's how we get the unknown emperor, unspoken usurper, and the beneficent king, and all these other names where really important people hide their names from outsiders.
Awesome. I'm going to tab that over just to do it that way. Cool.
Oh,
All right, so we've reached the end of a round. So the person who went immediately before the lens gets to add a faction. So I'm going to do that. And then we're going to move on, and Sherry is going to be the starting player for the second round. All right, so I'm going to go down to the faction area. You may want to mute, Steve.
I thought I did. Sorry.
Oh,
I am muted.
No, you're not muted. Now you are.
Weird. So I added a faction there, the Friends. We've established earlier that we've got this horrible justice system that puts people out on the cages and the walls, which seems pretty overbearing. So there must be a way around that. So there is a system of that people buy their way out, things like that. But it's very formalized, that you have to go to one of these friends or make arrangements with that and contract out for them to essentially get punishments reduced or make arrangements, or perhaps even to get other people out, that kind of thing. Perhaps they can commute a sentence or have it changed to something less onerous for people. So wanted to add that in. All right, Sherry, this is the second turn. You are the lens. What is the theme?
I think I'm going to go with, and this is going to sound weird because it's in a city, but I'm going to go with nature, because there's always a lot of things that live in cities that, aren't just the people, but just the things that manage to hold on. Okay? So that will be my theme. think, because let's see here, I love the bureaucracies, so I'm going to Okay, so essentially I went with the granting vines. And essentially the reason that the center of the city's bureaucracy is situated in such an inconvenient and onerous location is on top of these giant blocks is simply because the granting vines grew out in this incarnation city there. So essentially there's always long lines that circle the block as people use their citizens once in a lifetime ticket. So it's one of the things that you get when you become a citizen of the city for a chance to pick one of these things. And essentially they're like nuts, and they contain little objects that people think were probably just dredged up through the other old layers of the city. But they can be of high value, or they're like become a lucky token or something like that, and they're highly valued. And it's what the bureaucracy is built around first and foremost, and apparently always has been.
Nice.
Okay. And I think I'm going to put that as a rumor, is that this is always what the bureaucracy of the city is built around.
Sure.
Set it's a rumor. So.
There you go.
Okay.
Nice. I'm going to change that to black. If I can do that. There we go. Awesome. Rich.
I'm going to add a tavern to Firegate. But the way in which this is related to our theme is of nature is that this is a like a microbrewery. It is known as the first arms and unicorn, even though no one knows what a unicorn is. Some great traveler came up with that idea. And the roof, which is exposed to the elements, is where they grow a lot of the vines that are pressed into service, as it were, and become the house ale, the unicorn. Yeah. All right. So. Okay.
Awesome. All right, Kyle, we are back to you with nature as a theme.
Okay. So I'm going to add this to the sweet bottom.
Okay.
And what I'm thinking about is these beetles that have kind of infiltrated the sweet bottom and are wreaking havoc by, eating off the confectionaries and stuff like that, like getting into the shops and kind of like taking things over and causing trouble for everyone in general. Oops. Called them sugar beetles.
I thought it was going to be person sized, and I was like, what?
What's that? That was large as a person.
That was
faster I try to type, the worse it is. Okay, so yeah, these grotesque bugs grow to be as large as a person's hand. No one knows for sure where they came from, but now that they're here, it's causing a problem for everyone in the sweet bottom. They burrow their way into the various shops to feed on the sweet ingredients found within. And I'll change that to black text.
Awesome. I am going to go, and I'm going up to the webs. And so mine is the Brightness Sanctum. So it's a place that's up there in the webs, one of these things that is broken through. It's maybe a temple. After it came up about 20 years ago, locals discovered that if you brought animals into it and they essentially were coated with the dust of it, they would gain the power of speech and a measure of intelligence. And after that started happening and causing chaos, the Queen ordered it closed and had it sealed up. But it is still there. All right, Steve. Might be muted on the headset, I think. Oh, the delights of G+. So apparently they've added somebody made a Chrome G+ extension app that's supposed to help with the chat within Hangouts.
That would be good because a lot of times when you use some of that add-ons, they hide the chat, and then when you go back to the chat, it kind of undoes your add-ins, or at least you can't use them as easily.
Am I back now?
Hey, yep.
Okay. My microphone said it wasn't muted, but it was. I got very confused.
You want to pull your headset down, though, I think.
Hey, that's probably way better. Okay. I'm going to add a rumor to the sugar beetles.
Awesome.
Okay, so my rumor is that crushed and dried sugar beetles can be added to the water to make it palatable. We have a lot of things that seem to need water.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm thinking that maybe the truth is that there is water, but it's just super hard and you can't normally drink it. It's always got to be in a wine or a cake or ice cream or whatever.
Interesting. Sherry, you started us off, and you're going to finish us out for this round, and you can do up to 2 items here.
Okay.
And once you're done, then we're going to come back to Steve. He's going to do a faction, and then Rich will start the next round.
Okay. So I'm going to put this in the webs just because it makes a thing about being the tallest place. So I'm going to call this the Sorrel Wing Flights. Essentially, this is a twice-yearly migration flights of waterfowl that path over the city. Major source of food for residents. Reserved fowl is specialty of homely cooking. Nets and nets are preferred method to catch. Catch the birds because only the males are to be killed. They are easy to spot. Okay, so I went with the Sorrel Wing flights, and they're twice. Essentially, they're just waterfowl that path over the city on their way to another nesting location and then back again in another part of the year. So these are a major source of food for residents. The preserved fowl is a specialty of homely cooking in the city. Nets and snares are preferred method to catch the birds because only the males are to be killed. They're easy to spot with showier plumage, so it's easy to tell if people are doing what they're supposed to. And many neighborhoods have festivals and their own secret rituals for bait and attracting the birds to land in their area. And then um, I have a rumor about those. Let's see here. Uh, see here. I want to pull a name out from somewhere. There we go.
Nice.
I have Anisha Gur, priestess of the Lost River, has been collecting the plumage of the birds for the last decade, apparently creating an elaborate tapestry in the chasm somewhere. People hope that it's to bring back the river that once flowed through the city.
Nice. Nice. All right, Steve, if you will add a faction to the list here. I have to scroll all the way down here.
Okay. So, warn me if this is too gonzo. Okay, so the Kopathi are small monkey-like creatures, messengers by many of the city's elite. They coded addresses, but Maybe the right word is revolution. So the Kolpathi are these small monkey creatures that people use to run errands for them, but secretly have been to the Bright Temple, and many of them are smarter than people realize. And the leaders among them are trying to, maybe the right word is emancipate themselves.
I like it. I can see where that could be a lovely, even the unraised ones would be a lovely detail for a game. I can also imagine having to chase them across the city in a scenario. So, awesome. Rich, you're going to start us out on this next turn, and what would you like as the theme?
This is just a general comment. I'm worried that this is 2 games worth of Microscope, and it's just there's so much. Is it too much? Should we have a theme of like nothing new for this turn? You have to double up on stuff that's already established, or is that even allowed?
If you wanted to, for example, put a theme that we'd had in the last game, you could certainly do that. I mean, do you want to double up on something we've already worked through?
Oh no, less of a more of a theme of the thought is we don't create any brand new locations, but we just add to stuff or draw ties between stuff that's already established, just to kind of strengthen it.
So
does that work?
Your theme is like explication?
Maybe it's connection.
Let me go to dictionary.com. Explication.
Maybe the theme is connections, right? Where you connect the dots on things that are already there but aren't hooked together yet.
Is that fair? I mean, I don't want to shut anybody down. I'm looking at it as a person who's going to try to run something, and I'm like, holy shit, this is like Forgotten Realms. It's just work now. But if we draw connections, then it'll strengthen ideas for me. And so I'm being selfish, and I will say connections.
Works for me.
So how does that work? You can still create. You can ignore what Rich said, and you create new location, person, events, or what does that mean?
The idea being that whatever you do has to tie into something that's already established, or tie together 2 things already established. Does that seem reasonable?
That's good. That's what I like. Do I now do one? Sorry.
Oh, yeah. So now you get to do 2 things. You can do one thing nested under the other, or just one thing.
And the one thing could be rumors, or
absolutely.
could be rumors. And I see down here. Okay, and I see factions down here, which are the Kolpathi and friends. So we could do a faction. Okay.
No, factions are done by one person at the end of a particular round.
Oh, I see. All right. So I'm gonna look to do a couple of rumors, or at least one rumor. So give me a second here. I just want to make sure that it was kosher before I even bothered to worry about it. Okay, let me change this to black so you can see it. I'm going to add a rumor under Lover's Delight, which is located in Sweet Bottom. And that is not what I meant to do to change it black. I changed the highlight, so let me change the actual text color. A name, but is using...
Hello, Matt.
Hello. Hi, everyone.
Hey. We are working through. Should I give you the link to the doc?
Yes, please.
Okay, I will put that in the thing there. So it should be in the chat for you.
Yep.
Just to give you a sense of where we're at, Rich is starting off the turn, and essentially the theme for adding things this round is to add something to something that's already been established. So add a connection, connecting to something that's already been placed in the history to build it up.
Sure.
And the turn order will be that you will go after Kyle. And Kyle goes
All right.
next. Okay?
Sounds great. All right.
Okay, the rumor is that Lost Jagger is using the matchmaking abilities of the sorbet at the Lover's Delight to create better people in her eyes.
Ooh.
It's a kind of mystical eugenics. So also trying to find an additive to the sorbet to add mind control. Or that's how the...
Nice. I like that you put a pronunciation guide there, Rich.
I try to do that for all the weird names that I pick from your crazy name list that delights me.
All right. So are you set with that, or do you want to add another rumor to that same place?
Oh crap! That's right. I have 2 turns.
You
and
no,
my brain
you
was
don't.
only-
And you don't have to.
I know, but I may not get this chance again, and I have to abuse my power. So give me a moment. Oh, interesting. I just saw that slavery is prohibited within the city, which is awesome because I'd stuck in the meat market. So. Yeah, pretty cool. I'm going to stick a rumor under the Whispers, which is located in the Duskwar Stacks.
Okay.
The Whispers are theological students who debate in a vast the Whispers. There's a vast ancient theater in the Duskwar. Okay, that's odd. That's hard for me to parse, but I think I got it. So it's a theater, but the Whispers is the name of the group of theological students. Lowell, can you help me understand what that means?
I think actually the Whispers is the name of the theater.
Okay. So the Whispers is the theater.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, it's the theater where they debate.
Cool. So they held seances within the Whisper Theater. It's very secretive and very few people are invited because it is.
Interesting. Now I'm trying to imagine seances in the world of necromancy. So that's particularly fun to play with. All right, Kyle, we're going to go to you. The theme is connections. And you may be muted. And Matt, we're tending to mute when we're not on. Oh, and Matt, we're tending to mute when we're not on.
Okay, thanks. Yeah, I was a little confused. I was like, why is it suddenly silent?
Yeah. Just to keep the background noise down.
Oh, sorry, I didn't realize I was muted.
I think I told you were muted while I was muted, so that was me.
Yep. Yeah, what I was thinking of, I don't think will work for this because I was thinking about a faction, so I'm kind of stuck for a second.
You have to read.
Yeah, I'm kind of. Crap, I'm sorry. I did not have it ready for this one. Okay, I can add a rumor for this though?
Yes, right?
Yep,
Yes. Regain some stuff from Lowell.
absolutely.
Okay, cool.
Under even something that you didn't already create or something that's already on the table from the last session.
Okay. So I'm going to add a rumor to let's see. It seems like it already has 2 rumors now. How about I add a rumor to the Great Elevator?
That's hilarious. I had one for that.
Sorry.
No, go for it.
Yeah.
Okay. This might be too gonzo, as you say. I'm saying there's a rumor that the Great Elevator actually goes deeper than anyone realizes and connects to I was going to say a parallel city, but that seemed a little bit too much. So maybe just another city, but that's actually, it's kind of like the old dig your way to China thing.
I love that as a rumor, because that is a great way to
Yep.
lure adventurers down in.
Right. Yeah, it's probably not true, maybe, but there it is anyhow.
Awesome. Matt, it is your turn.
All right, I'll have to adjust a little bit, but that's okay. I'm trying to see if there's another better place to put this rumor. So mostly I wanted to put a rumor somewhere. Really, I just wanted it somewhere in the chasm, and I thought that the Great Elevator might be a good spot for this. So I'll just throw out the thought, and maybe since you guys have added some additional stuff since I read the document, might have a good location for this. But what I was thinking was that there would be, and this could go under the Great Elevator, but there was a rumor of a place called something like the Untapped Reservoir that just had a large store of water that was somewhere underneath the city that people were always looking for, and could kind of totally change the dynamic of the economy and the need for water if people were able to find it, if it exists. So I thought that might be a good place to put onto the Great Elevator, but
yeah, I think that's
not
perfect.
So sure.
I mean, here that is so normally we're not supposed to kibitz too much, but
right.
This is where the sort of, if you're classic adventuring, these are all the things that they could get, all of the leads that could draw them down there. That makes sense to me.
Right, exactly.
So yeah, it's just to confirm your thought.
Okay, I'll just put it under then the Great Elevator that maybe it leads there somewhere. So the Untapped Reservoir is a vast store of fresh water somewhere underneath city, supposedly accessible by the Great Elevator, but no one has found it. Actually, wondering if there was something under. Maybe I could just have that. There's this is actually probably a better idea. A story, or a scroll or a work, some sort of scholarly work that in like one of the other places that where people are researching, they're trying to find the location. That might be better. Or there's someone who is searching for it, because I know there was. Let me see if I can find that. Do you remember who were the? There's either an organization or a location that had all the stuff. Sorry, that's somewhere in the Dusk War stacks, I think. Right.
You are thinking of the
Or
blue
is there an
circle,
organization?
the blue circle under the factions.
Okay. Factions. Can I put a rumor underneath a faction?
Wow, we haven't done that, but that seems like a reasonable thing to do.
Okay.
Go for it.
Yeah, I guess I'll put a rumor there. So I'll just put that as a rumor there. Little odd, but so yeah, somewhere underneath the city, and the blue circle is looking for it. Or maybe actually, the blue circle is keeping its location secret so as to not invalidate their existence. Let's put that. That's the rumor.
Awesome.
Okay. All right.
Sounds good. Steve, you are next. And you're muted.
I'm still thinking about the water.
Okay.
And I'm going to come here. And where did he go?
I'm under the factions. That's where I put it.
Oh, no, I mean,
Some different.
where did what I'm looking for go?
Oh.
There it is. So I want to put a rumor under Tartok the Lich. Artok does. Water unpalatable with using it to make something else. It's just an accident, and others hint at a darker. Okay.
Nice. Rumors are always fun to play with. True, false, GM choice. I like that. Sherry.
Okay. So, right from the first time when
That's it.
Rich
Okay.
put this down, I've been thinking about this rumor, so I'm glad to have the opportunity to put it in. Essentially, stories always swirl around about the source of the dead to be enchanted as stock for the meat market, but the only stories that the Emporium actually tries to quiet down are that Iche discards the worn-down undead amid the bones of the dune of bones without paying even the nominal burial tax. So, in a city where necromancy is, it can be useful. The real bad thing that he can do is essentially, toxic waste dumping. So, that's what I've got.
Nice. Rich.
That's cool.
We come back around to you. You get, again, a double bite at the apple, if you wish, or a single bite.
Cool. So Sherry's inspired me with a thing. I'm totally stealing this from the amazing RPG that I've only read and made a character for and never got to play, called Underground. That so adore and want to play that someday, and I'm sure that I'll hate it once I play it because it looks really kludgy as a system.
It is kludgy as hell.
Yeah, it looked kludgy, but damn, was it a cool setting. Maybe I should just fake accelerated that or something. No, crap, now I've lost where I stuck the meat market. Dang it. It was underneath the busy place. There it is.
Makerstown.
Cool. Found it. Stock for them. Oh, here's another rumor. It is said for a small reward. Yes, it's said for a small reward, you can agree ahead of your untimely death to to become a permanent worker at the Emporium.
Ooh.
So it's like donating your body to science. You can donate it to the Emporium for a small fee.
Did you say that was from an RPG that you had played?
Yeah, called Underground by Mayfair Games.
That's really interesting. We had something like that in my homebrew campaign.
Oh.
Sort of something similar. So.
Well, in the RPG, it was much more gross because cannibalism was kind of chic, and there was a franchise called The Tasty Ghoul, and you could donate yourself for like a $500 stipend. You could donate yourself to become one of the new specials. Cool. And if you had regeneration as one of your superpowers, because it was a superpower game, you had to eat. You had to be a cannibal.
God, that's such a weird game.
God, I know. It's so good.
All right, Sherry, we've ended the round, so you get to do a faction.
Okay.
All right.
Oh, crap, I could have doubled, right?
Do you want to do another rumor?
I'm sorry. I didn't need to steal.
You should do it.
bad
It gives you
talking.
more time to think. So, go
All
for
right,
it.
I'll give you more time to think.
You're a good man.
It's excellent how we've turned this from Rich being a forgetful, selfish person to being a good man. I like that. All right. 'Cause, 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 'cause
And the structure will be after Rich is done, and after Sherry has done the faction, then Kyle, you will start us out on the next round.
Do we do just one time all the way through? Is that how it goes?
That's what we're going to do.
I really like this Dune of Bones under Firegate. That's where the dead of the poor are buried, just outside Firegate. Several dunes form a corridor through which every traveler walking up to the Firegate must pass. At night, the dead are supposed to whisper their secrets to the wind. The rumor is that if an expecting mother travels through the Dune of Bones at night, she will find out the fortunes of her child. There you go.
Nice. Nice, I like that.
And it will.
I can see a game now where people are kidnapping expecting mothers and forcing them to go through to, find a fortune and then they can steal it from them. That's a cool hook.
It will totally come true. Sweet.
Awesome. Sherry, let's hear about your faction.
Okay. So. Okay, so what I did is I did the Seed Keepers, and essentially they're like the Rotary for bureaucrats, and they try to essentially fate the various deep trees that grow up around the city. So these are essentially trees and plants whose roots go far, far down into the city, and they sort of somehow manage to spring up through all the debris. And these are looked upon as little brothers of the granting vines. And the seed keepers essentially try to create myth and tradition around the plants to encourage the plants to grow, but also to spread the bureaucracy.
So, do these little brothers plants feed on those stories? Is that what I'm hearing?
That is certainly how the seed keepers treat it as, yes.
All right. Awesome. Okay, Kyle, you're going to start us off with turn 4 and establish a theme for us. What do you want as the theme for this turn? And you're muted.
Yep, every time.
Every time.
Every time. So the theme for this turn is going to be the fact that the city is layered and that it shifts, these tectonic shifts that you guys kind of already put into place.
Okay. Awesome.
And that brings a question up, and I don't know how much we can really get into this, but
Sure.
it doesn't seem, is all the stuff that we're creating right now, aside from maybe like the ones that are specifically say, oh, it's at the bottom or it's at the 8th level, are the things that we're creating now, like, the petitioner's block and these gates, I'm assuming they're all on the surface level of this city.
That's been my general...
Currently,
Yeah, like the sweet bottom is clearly caverns.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's all. I think at least at this we could things that aren't established are available for the GM to decide.
Sure, okay. Will that work as a theme, though?
Seems good to me. We'll play with it.
Well, I have a question.
Sure.
So Kyle, when you say layering and shifts is a theme, do you have like in mind what do you mean by that? Like you want us to place things along layers, or like I'm trying to figure out how I can action on it.
Sure. I think just the fact that there's layers of the city that have been rising up over time. I don't know that we established how often it happens, but just kind of how that affects, like if you're not on the top layer of the city, like how that affects your life or something like that along those lines, or like what it means to be like on one of the other layers.
Cool.
I suppose we could even create other layers.
Mm-hmm.
I like it. Thank you for clarifying.
And you can do two things, or one thing. You can do two things sort of in the same vein or nested underneath each other.
Gotcha. I'd like to go to the Dusk War stacks. And I'm going to add a person. I was trying to find what Steve put about the name magic, but I couldn't locate
It's
that.
under factions.
Okay.
I think it's under nearby regions.
Yeah. Sorry.
That's okay.
Sorry, it's not that either. It's World Beyond. Kaba's talking.
Now I got it. Yep, okay. Okay. I was just interested in that because of the tie-in with the guy, the unspoken usurper. So I'm going to add, as soon as I get back to that. Okay, in the Dusk War stack. So I'm going to add the Nameless Heir. Who is, let's say, maybe nephew of, we should probably make it son. So he's the son of the unspoken usurper. And his deal is, he is trying to use magic to cause, to force, a shift in these layers of in the city, and thereby like wiping out pretty much everything that's on the surface right now. Of course, being that it was established that sandstorms pretty much wipe things out when this happens. Yeah, I think that's it. I'm just going to go with one thing for right now.
Awesome. That sounds good. Matt, it is your go.
Yep. All right, so I'm going to be in the zoo. I'm adding a location or person event. I guess it's more of a thing, but call it the sun catcher. And it is a enormous mirror that used to be in one of the tallest spires of the city that would direct the sun's rays into an enormous beam of fire, kind of like Archimedes with the rumor with his ships that used to destroy stuff in Syracuse, so that it would be used to protect the city. But now it's because of the shifts, it's down on the ground and cracked and just sitting there unused.
Nice.
That's it. I'm just going to finish typing out what I just said, so you can move on to
Okay.
the next person if you like.
All right. Then the next person would be Steve.
You're muted, Steve. I think you unmuted yourself and then remuted yourself. Just saw it. There you go. Oh, and you're still muted. That is so weird.
There we go.
Isn't it Lowell's turn anyway?
No, we're skipping over me. We added a fifth, so
Lowell's talking
we're
about
passing on.
Oh.
Lowell, is it your turn or is it Steve's?
It's Steve's turn. Sorry, I was apparently once again I was talking while I was muted. So yeah, Steve, we're going from Matt back up to the top to you. I bet you're muted because this can't be simple.
I don't know why I thought that it went from Kyle to Matt to you to me.
I had thought it did too as well.
Essentially, I slotted Matt in my spot.
Oh, that's right.
Okay.
Because I put a lot into this city already from this time and last time, so.
Matt is the new Lowell.
Yes.
I don't know who should be more insulted.
Orange is the new black. Matt is the new Lowell. Yeah.
Upgrade? I don't
In all that confusion, I lost what I wanted to add.
Oh.
We're talking about layers, right?
Mm-hmm. And shifts.
Shifts. Oh, let's add a rumor to the gray robes. Let's say that they have discovered
That's really cool.
we'll add a potential adventure by saying they may have a way to stop it. Or encourage it, right?
Nice. That's awesome.
Yeah. Love the hooks. Sherry. She's deeply considering. But you're muted.
Dang it! All right. And I said a lot of important things. So, not really. Okay. So I'm thinking, I'm going to start over by the fire gate, that I'm going to essentially the rabble-drax. So essentially they're a twisty understreet warren of layers of hovels built this age and last, which the poorest and those who wish to go unfound live. They meander just under the surface below streets and shops and walls, and across districts. And essentially this is just where the worst part of the city is in a lot of ways.
Okay. I'm picturing the Kansas City Underground.
Yes, but perhaps less sturdy and built to last.
Okay.
This is just where there was space.
All right. Rich.
All right, working within the theme. Let me find it again because I had an idea under webs. There we are. So webs, high point, a series of high point towers near the outer wall. The great network of ropes and bridges running between them is the poorer section. May have to tease out the idea, but I was imagining that there was one tower that, because of layers, like it just sank, and it stretched all of the ropes down. And the working idea is to call it Stumpy Tower. Was part but a sinkhole. Now, I don't know if I have a whole story or economical use or anything. I just something about that amuses me, and it works within our themes.
Hey, do you suppose, let me ask you this question, if the tower is sunk, can people, then go down into the lower part of the tower now, underground?
People can go down into the underground portion of the tower. But, oh shoot! Well, there's a rumor to say, but there are sometimes, there are points where the sand is filled in, or it could suddenly fill in if.
Whatever you want to say.
Okay. didn't know if that was a rumor. Of what? Sand? What would you call that? Basically, you shake it too much and sand pours in through whatever windows and...
Sand flood?
Sand flood. Yes, I love that sand flood. That's a great portmanteau. Thank you, Lo.
All right. So, Kyle, we come back around to you. You're going to wrap up this round. You can do one or two things. And then after that is going to be Rich coming up with a faction. And then Matt will start us off on the last round.
Okay. I just... Can anyone point me in the direction of where Obsidian City, there's like it's in red, so I'm assuming that there's another thing. I'm looking under the chasm in Luminous Fortress at a rumor about Obsidian City, but I don't...
It's the only one.
That's the only mention of it.
Yep.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's literally the only time it's been mentioned.
Okay.
Yeah, we maybe should have put that in the outside area as well, just to highlight it or hang a lamp on it.
So it really hasn't been established where that's at yet.
No, I don't think so.
Okay. So I think that's what I'm going to do is add that into the chasm then.
That's awesome because in my mind, the Obsidian City was outside.
Mm-hmm.
But I love the idea that maybe it's down below.
Sure, I think if they're spying on the fortress, that's because they want to get through. They want to somehow break through to infiltrate, and maybe work their way up. Yeah. Whoops. Okay. That's not how I want to say that, but I'll come back and fix that up.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm going to touch this up a little bit
Okay.
after I'm done. But so yeah, the Obsidian City is also located on the same layer as the Luminous Fortress, kind of like um, probably down, through a series of tunnels or something. And it's like a large cavernous area, cluster of large caverns where like the people that live there have made this kind of city in the dark. They're kind of like a forgotten people, like where we had talked before about there's no really like there's not per se elves or humans, but everybody's just kind of mixed. But I think that they're not like that, so I haven't really figured out what they are yet.
Actually, I think you should not say. It gives it GMs
Okay,
the chance to go,
sure.
oh, they're elves, or they're humans, or they're dwarves, or worse, they're gnomes. Ugh.
I was almost thinking that they were even not like that. They were almost like a what was like an abhuman type thing. But sure, it's wide open for anyone to do whatever they want with. So
Well,
yeah,
there's orcs though.
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, I was thinking just totally outside of the like, make up your own race and throw it in there.
Except orcs.
Except they're orcs, says Rich. Okay.
So yeah, they're pretty much gathering their forces and trying to. That's why they're spying on the Luminous Fortress. They're going to try to break it though.
That sounds awesome.
Okay, cool.
Rich, do you wish to advance your pro-orc agenda with a faction, or is your faction going to be unrelated to pro-orc agendas?
Man, now that it's out there, I feel the challenge. I want to. Oh, it's so tough to resist. So this is a create a faction thing, not a rumor.
That is
or I can
correct.
rumor under a faction. Oh, okay.
Just a faction.
Oh, no. Just a faction. All right, let me take another glance at the factions. I just think the order. I always think I know. I've got it figured out, and then all of a sudden you throw out a thing like, no, you get an extra thing, Rich, or you get a faction. Now you go twice. It's inscrutable.
Now you have to do it backwards.
Oh no. Oh man, the Dust Hunters are awesome. Holy crap, I missed those guys. So I guess the silence, because their tongues are cut so they can't betray, they're also illiterate? Poor guys.
And they ride giant snakes.
Oh, sweet. Silence. I'm doing a crap job of thinking new stuff. Layers related thing.
No, a faction can be whatever you want.
Alright.
Let me throw another exclusionary rule at you.
These crackers. I swear, Lowell. If I didn't like you so much, I wouldn't like you so much. Another name for guild. I don't want to say Delver's Guild, but like something else, like a gathering or a loose organization of like-minded individuals.
A consortium, if there's a business.
No, it's not business. It's basically like this is like extreme sports, except they go down in the layers. That's it. Just like people who are unemployed or adventurous of mind or rich and stupid. They just brag about how far down.
So I missed almost everything you said, but if you, because my is acting up, that's okay. No, if all I heard was extreme sports, that could really tie into what we're going to do next. So I don't know what you said about extreme sports, but I like it.
Cool. Okay.
Band, Brotherhood, League.
League. That's awesome. Oh my god, that's the greatest. That's the best. I love League. I mean, there were a lot of other ones, but League totally speaks to me. A loose group of mostly crazy, extreme unnamed There's a lot of A's in parent there. Crazy A's.
Operant.
Apparent. Alright, there we go. The Delvers League is the best thing ever. All of my characters are part of the Delvers League.
I'm assuming that they parkour underground as well.
No, wait. I'll just say that. I'll leave it there. I started to make a magical GoPro joke. I just censored myself. I'm done.
So, Matt, you're going to start it out. You're going to set the theme. You're going to get to do two things, usually nested one under the other.
Yep. Okay. So, initially, I really wanted to do something with espionage, but I feel like we've got some of that in, and I think we need to round the city out a little bit and go for entertainment. So things that people do to for fun. So I'm going to start off with a location under the webs. And that location is the Long Fall. It's a long span from which the Delvers League, when they need to relax, they'll strap themselves into these specially enchanted cuts of the gathering vines, and then just jump. So it's kind of like your bungee cord, and then see how far they can go, and then just come back up. So it's just extreme sport. And then for the underneath that, I'll put a history. Eloise the Mad used to abduct two complete strangers, tie them into the specially enchanted vines that she actually created, and then throw them down and make them fight to the death. And whoever survived, she would pull them back up and then let them go. So.
Okay. That's pretty awesome.
All right.
So we'll let you. You're going to type that in. Okay. So we will move on. Steve, the theme is entertainment, and I'm gonna mute myself while you unmute.
I'm gonna unmute and say thanks, Alan. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so I'm going to come down here, I think, in the Whispers, where we have the vast ancient theater. I don't know why, but the city reminds me of whatever the city's called in the Matrix.
Ion.
And so I'm going to say drum circles are... And there is maybe the right word is rivalry. Between drummers and students for use of whispers. Okay,
Nice.
That's it for me.
I like that. It's a nice colored detail there. Sherry. Shall I tell you you're muted? You're muted.
Sorry about that. So I'm thinking in the Stormgate, one of the big draws down there is that they have a sort of big, long area that actually runs outside of some of the most expensive merchant places and tents and things, like essentially where the most primo and established merchants set their thing up. And essentially it's like a long, low fountain, and people can pay, and then they walk, and they walk in water, and they shop. So it's like this kind of thing that's a big luxury to be able to walk in water when they do this. And then the thing is that at night, there's a thing where there will be a couple of hours where that becomes free for people to do that, and lots of people go down to the Stormgate then to night shop and walk in this water. So that's what I'm thinking of, is that during the day when it's hot, you have to pay to walk in it.
That's interesting because it ties into some of the questions that we've raised about water being how it's potable or not.
I really like that. Just want to say it's not kibitz. That was cool.
And then, Rich, you will have the next shot.
I think I like the idea of one of these factions. They're not factions, but one of these neighborhoods having a festival of some kind. So I'm trying to think of where that might be cool. Kids are not allowed to visit Sweet Bottom. I just caught that.
Oh, now that you say that, I'm picturing a whole Willy Wonka thing now down there. Some horrible Dungeon Crawl Classics version of Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory.
That sounds terrifying.
I know.
So Labor Day, once a quarter, everyone in Makerstown takes a day off. By everyone, we of course mean the fabricators, blacksmiths, carpenters, and textile workers. The merchants and food vendors have a field day during Labor Day, often counting it as their hardest days but highest profits.
Awesome. I like a good festival.
That's because they jack all the prices up like gasoline.
Yeah.
Pretty much, yeah.
All right. Kyle.
Hey, I remember to unmute first. Okay, so unfortunately, well, I shouldn't say unfortunately, but coincidentally, I have an event as well, and didn't really have time to rethink after Rich said his event. So I'm going to add this to the webs, and this is like kind of another festival as well. Make sure I'm not cutting something off. Whoops. Yep. So this is going to be the Starfire Festival, held yearly in the webs, in that on that level. Every year after the last frost. Okay, so yep, every year after the last frost, this celebration occurs in the webs with the aid of the dust hunters and their balloon crafts. The sky is lit for hours on end by the fireworks they launch from high above. The spectacle can be seen by those from far outside the city of No Name Yet.
Awesome. All right. Matt, you get to round out
Yep. Okay.
nested or like two rumors.
Okay. I'm gonna add I guess it's an event to the petitioners block because I feel like they need a little bit more love. Because there's only two things in our rumor there. So I'm gonna call it the sand paintings. Very literal description. And basically what it is every morning the sand blows in around the various parts of the petitioner's block and just happens to form various shapes or paintings in the sand. No one knows how that's done, why, if it's a natural phenomenon, or if someone is behind it, and sometimes it'll say all sorts of various things and almost seems like it comments on the events going on in the city. So it's like a daily commentary. So people go to see that.
Nice.
And I'll just stick with the one.
Okay. Kyle is going to now do a faction.
Yay! That's the one thing I've had written down like for about 2/3 of the game, and then I keep thinking, wait, I don't get to do a faction. You can't do factions yet. Okay, so I've got And I am unmuted. Okay.
Yep.
I have this faction. Where are factions at? Right there. Okay. So these folks are known as the Awoken.
That's a great name. I don't know what they are, but I love it already.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking with the prevalence, I hope I'm saying that right, of necromancy being so kind of accepted, that there's bound to be people that don't like it. And the Awoken are trying to pass legislation to outlaw the use of necromancy.
So I think that's cool. I just have a quick question. Does that go against one of the editions? Like, what wasn't one of the things in the city that necromancy was not considered evil?
No, necromancy is not necessarily evil.
Okay. Okay, thanks.
No, but point of clarification, that's a good question.
Yeah, well, I think that somebody had also mentioned like that slavery was illegal. Is that correct?
Slavery we established up top for and my assumption in the discussion we had before, it's sort of the non-undead slavery was restricted to foreigners.
Right. Okay. Oh wait, what just happened? Oh, there went. Okay. Yeah, I mean, I'm just trying to like.
Oh yeah, no, that's perfect.
I don't think that. I'm not saying that they think that necromancy is evil. They just don't. For the same way that slavery is outlawed, I think that they think that using dead people to do the work is bad in a way too. And I was also going to mention that they have, I should say, one of their members. Oh crap! One of their faction is a member of the Wheel of Fire. So they actually have some pull and some influence within the system.
Awesome. I think one of the things that actually interestingly points at is, in my head, I'm thinking about what the intersection is of necromancy and ancestor worship. That we've got these two forces, and that's a really interesting dynamic to have to figure out how people live with that.
Right. Cool.
Yeah, that's really cool, and it also, and I'm not joking here. I have a lot of people in my home group that would be interested in this, of actually having like running a legislative session where they like try and get that law passed. Mm-hmm. Like they would be all about that. And that's the thing I think is so cool about this, is that we have so many different things that, you know, whether you want really bureaucratic intrigue, bureaucratic legislation, or just running around killing stuff, and everywhere in between it's there.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah,
lots of opportunities for thieves, guild, for adventurers, for all kinds of stuff there. Awesome. And I also say, again, there's all this stuff in here that I'm going, we didn't get to, that I want to know more about. And though it does border on the Forgotten Realms thing, we start to get a little much there. I think Rich had a good point on that.
Thanks. I felt a little guilty, but I was like, I'm being selfish.
No,
so I wanted the rumors. Those rumors, I can read like 5 of those rumors, and I could run a game. If I read all of the factions, I can only retain like 2 tops.
Yeah, you got to bite off a chunk. Well, that's where we're going to stop. for today. We've got a full-on city. I will probably get this up tomorrow. I will probably also on RPG Geek get people to suggest names, and maybe we'll do a vote there and actually get a name for the city of some
Why not
kind.
leave it? Why not leave it called the city? Right? Isn't that what where the tick comes from?
Yeah.
You know, after all the work we did, saying the tick is the way we should go.
No.
Well, there's precedent.
There's. Yeah. Well, I'll figure out about that. How we want to do that. Then maybe we'll put that as one of the options in there. Kyle, it was great to play with you. Matt, good to see you again. Rich and Steve, glad to have a chance to play with you since we didn't have a chance to play with you at Origins. Steve was going to be there with us, Rich, Matt, but wasn't able to make it. So.
Cool. Yeah, it's fun.
Yeah.
On the other hand, I've probably got more hospital time than all of you combined just this year.
Oh,
Oh, no.
Oh, not good.
You can have that record, man.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Not going to be competitive on that one.
All right. Well, I'm going to
Maybe.
stop the recording and finish that out. Okay. So.
Maybe have a contest to name the city
Yeah, I think so.
on the Geek, right? And then take 8 or 10 good names and then have a poll.
Yeah, definitely a vote.